All right, we live, man, and we live in a new format in Facebook as well, and we live in a new format um on YouTube. Let me make sure I'm lined up right. I don't think I'm lined up right for that YouTube, man, but they can see me right. Let's see. I think that's better. That's why I have it both like that. But,
You need that other light.
Yeah, no, the light is it makes a difference, right?
Yeah.
Shit, I'm gonna see what's up, but I think this is cool right here. Hold on for that YouTube. Well, I'm center. All right, cool. Um, let's see. All right, cool. Getting everything. All right, we working through the technical difficulties, man. All right, so we struggle streaming already. All right, so let's go ahead and get it started, man, with these banners. My name is Brandon B. Dixon, MLS 1541210. It's at Being That Loan Officer on all social media. Go to my YouTube as well. Like, subscribe. It's at Being That Loan Officer. If you want to book me for a consultation, or if you want to sign up for a mortgage, go to www.applywithb.com. You call me 832-775-8357. You call me 24/7 as long as it's about business. Also, if you're trying to lease, list, invest, go to www.brandonbdixon.com. Last but not least, cocinvestmentclub.com if you're trying to mitigate your risk and if you're trying to get into real estate investing. I got my colleague here, Brandon Dunbar. I'm going to go ahead and let him promote whatever you got to promote.
Thank you, sir. Brandon Dunbar here. I am a realtor here in Houston, same as Dixon. If you're looking to buy, sell, invest, let us know. We could do anything from difficult loans to easy loans to $1 million houses to $50,000 houses. So you can Google me, Brandon Dunbar Realtor, and you can also visit my website, dunbardidit.com, and also you'll see my cell phone number once we start streaming. So
Gotcha. So I see people in the stream. Go ahead, hit the like button. Go ahead, like, subscribe. Also, if y'all want any questions answered, go ahead, hit the stream up right now and go ahead, put the questions in the comment box and we'll answer. And I have almost 10 years of expertise. Dunbar, what you on your 11th year right now?
I'm on my 8th year, but
right.
It's one of those things to where it's all about the situations, and I've dealt with a lot of situations, so I'm a seasoned vet if you ask me, but 8 years.
Gotcha. So collectively, we're close to 20 years in the business. So you got any real estate questions, any questions, financial questions, business questions, let us know. We're going to go ahead and we're waiting on a couple of our colleagues to come in, but we're going to go and get this started, man. Let's start off with the first clip here. We're going to talk about, mainly today, we're going to talk about this 50-year mortgage. So let's go ahead and get this started. Before we get the first clip, what's your thoughts on it?
You know what? I'll be honest. I have I have read a little bit on it, but it would take somebody honestly like you, Dixon, to really like hammer it out to me. But it doesn't seem like a bad idea. I mean, with any mortgage, you can pay it off, when you have the money. So 50, 100, it's just, it's all about the terms. I don't know every detail about it, but I do know, I don't think it's a bad idea.
Gotcha. All right, so let's go ahead.
What about you?
I'm gonna go ahead and run the clip. I want because I got a couple of different angles. I'm gonna run a couple of clips because this depends on what you're doing. You know, so let's look at the clips. Let's look at the evidence first.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna go ahead and give you my assessment of it. You know, because I'm on the fence. I mean, product is a product. You know, that doesn't mean you have to use it, right? Sure. You know, so we're gonna get into this in a second, but let's go ahead and start with the first clip here, and let's go ahead and get it started.
It's like a real thing that they're going to launch here very, very soon. Trump just announced it, and I want to break down a 30-year mortgage for you and a 50-year mortgage for you because both of them have very high interest on the amount you pay. And would you even save any money with a 50-year mortgage, or is it just significantly worse? I'm going to break it down for you. All right, I got them both right here. I'm going to do a 6% rate. You guys can argue about rates in the comments. 6% just to make it even across the board. 30-year mortgage, price $500,000, down payment about 20% down, right? $100,000 mortgage. The amount you're actually financing is $400,000. Payment, $2,400 a month. That does not include taxes and insurance. That's going to vary by state, okay? Interest, you're going to pay $463,000 in interest over a 30-year loan. I think most people don't know that, but maybe a lot do. Total cost, $963,000. You take the actual initial price plus the amount of interest that you paid. That's not including taxes and insurance. $963,000. Is the 50-year worth doing? Okay, I got them side by side right here. $500,000 price, $100,000 down, $400,000 mortgage, $2,100 payment. $2,400 to $21,000. You're saving $300 a month. But how much in interest do you pay? $863,000 versus $463,000, meaning the total cost for this home, if you take $863 plus $500,000, is $1.36 million. The 30-year and 50-year mortgage, the American dream. 50.
All right. So, I mean, this is the thing. It's all on how you look at it. You're not saving that much as far as monthly, you know. So $300 a month is a lot to some people. I guess that could make or break. I guess for that particular situation. So if you know you're a teacher or whatever, you're right there from being affordable. You know that extra $100 might make or break you. Yeah, that's a possibility. But I wouldn't make this the mainstream product. I wouldn't make this the new go-to product because most people, you know, most people try to refinance sometimes, but a lot of times you can't. You know, a lot of times people get situations where their income has changed or something's changed, their credit's changed, they can't, and they're stuck in that 50-year mortgage. A lot of people don't make extra payments towards principal. You know, so. We got our first question now, and I'm gonna open up the Dunbar after we read this first question here. So Maya said, my thought is if you're in Illinois like me in Cook County, it's not a bad idea due to extremely high property tax. They go up every year. If you have low property tax, avoid it at all costs. Go ahead and answer that, Dunbar, and then go ahead comment on the video.
Yeah, I mean, you know, property taxes are going to be, you know, property taxes. I mean, to answer Sir Mod, yeah, I mean, taxes are going to be taxes. It's nothing you're going to, whether you're in a 30-year, 15-year, or 50 or 100-year, you know, taxes are going to, you know, you're going to still have to pay them. But as far as the 50-year mortgage in itself, I don't think it's a bad idea. I mean, $300, you know, that's a car payment. That's a, you know, utility payment. And also, I should have got a note on the total loan amount because I think it was like 943 versus $1 million. I mean, that's not. I mean, you know, it's not a dollar, but it's you know, it's probably like $150,000 more.
No, it was 943 versus 1.36.
Right. I mean, what is that? That's
like $400,000.
$400,000. All right. So in the grand scheme of things, to me, that's not bad because first off, you own in the house. You're gonna, you know, say for instance, you don't buy down anything. You just take the 6% interest rate. That's one thing. And if you don't make extra payments, that's another thing as well. But you still have equity that you're building up whether it be 15 years, 30 years, or 50 years, right? So if something, for the positive is if you get a better job, right, you can still sell that house and go and get you a 15-year or 30-year, but you enter a house and you build an equity. So it's one of those things to where, if you can't do it with a 30-year and you want to build equity, you tired of, paying your landlord's vacation, fare, then I think it's a good idea. I don't think it's a bad idea at all. I mean, the numbers aren't screaming out to me like, don't do it.
I'm on the fence. So I'm gonna give you kind of a convoluted answer. I don't think we should eliminate it. However, I don't think it should be the go-to product. I think it's only in certain situations. Because don't forget, you're gonna be heavily front-loaded on the interest. For the first few years, it's gonna be, nothing but interest. So it's gonna be a lot longer to build up equity in that property since it's stretched out for 50 years.
True.
So, and I'm talking to the person that's.
But is that the same for 30 years? Well, I mean,
yeah, but you're just stretching out even longer. So is that much longer to acquire ownership? So for the normal person, if you could afford it, I would say instead of getting a bigger house, go ahead and take the 30-year or the 15-year. It'll be better, and that way you could acquire ownership quicker or acquire more equity quicker. That'll be the smarter route. Now, for that person that, all right, I make $60,000. I'm a teacher. I have student loans. I have this, and this is the only house that's affordable in my area, and I need this 50-year mortgage in order to qualify for anything. Yes, then go for it. Because situations might change. You might get a raise. You might get a promotion. Something might happen where you could, refinance that thing.
Right.
That I would say, in that situation, go for it.
I agree with you, but I don't think that I think if you well off, right, you're not going to be looking at, you're going to buy it cash. You know what I mean? This is for the, for the personnel that, like you said, not making a ton of money, wants to own a house, doesn't want to rent anymore, wants a little bit more freedom as far as just having their own, or at least feeling like they have their own. I don't think this product is made for somebody who's affluent. If affluent people, they're gonna just, they're gonna put $250,000 down and
Right.
only have to carry $250.
Right.
So I don't think this product is for, like I said, this product is not for the poor but it's definitely not for the rich.
Right. But Americans will abuse it. They'll use it to, all right, let me go ahead and get this extra bedroom, or let me get this extra whatever. Like, man, I wouldn't say use it for that. It's there. Again, you're American. You can eat a triple cheeseburger or quadruple cheeseburger. Well, I wouldn't recommend it. You see what I'm saying? So,
right. Well, I mean, if it's the only way to get them qualified, then you would recommend it.
Right. Well, I'm thinking this. I'm thinking, all right. Yes, I agree with you in that situation. If they only get qualified through that particular product. However, I know some people will abuse it. Like, all right, that extra 300, let me go get it on 50 years. So let me go ahead and get this house. That I don't recommend.
Well, those are folks that won't listen to rational professionals, because you're gonna tell them the same thing that you're telling me. I'm gonna tell them the same thing that I'm telling you. It's not something that you want to use unless you really need to use it, because you're not saving that much money, right? But so it's it's one of those, it's a wild card. It's if we can't get A, B, and C, batting down, and we have a new option D.
Right. I get you. Let's see what the man Grant Cardone got to say with this. I got a clip Grant Cardone speaking on this. So let's check out and see what he got to say about this. Let's go run this next clip.
Hey, hope you guys are doing great this morning. I'm on my way to the airport, flying to the Cayman Islands to share with an audience
hit the button, man.
Mortgage, lower interest rates, and what will prove to be a massive real estate boom. Okay. If any of you have heard about the 50-year mortgage that President Trump proposed, get ready, folks. This is going to be a boom to real estate. Whether you like this idea or not, I'm going to show you how to take advantage of it. Comment free below. I'm going to do a free training. My team just put together a time for me to do a free emergency training on how to take advantage of the 50-year mortgage, how to take advantage of low rates, what you want to buy, when you want to buy it, where you want to buy it, how you want to pay for it. And by the way, how to do this with no money and no credit. If you don't know who I am, my name's Grant Cardone. I have built a $5 billion real estate portfolio, started with no money at the age of 31, no money and no credit. Literally, like, I had a job. I was working full time at that job, and I was starting to like, okay, I got to figure out how to start like get some other hustle other than just a job, so that when I can't work or when my work doesn't work, I can actually start making some money. So I'm going to be doing a free training, free. Just comment free below. You want to learn how to take advantage of the 50-year mortgage that is going to be approved by Congress, and you want to learn how to buy real estate with no money down. This is going to be the biggest real estate boom in my lifetime. You're going to be able to buy deals with no money down. Yep, no money. You're going to be able to buy it with bad credit. That's right, bad credit or no credit. And you're going to get a 50-year mortgage. For every $100,000 you borrow, you're going to save $300. I'm sorry, for every $500,000. So for every $100,000, you're going to save about $60 a month. That might not seem like a bunch, but when you get a $2 or $3 or $4 or $5 million loan, you're going to be putting away another $36,000 a year in free cash flow to make your deal even more profitable than it was. I'll explain all this to you in a 90-minute training.
Grant got something else going on. I thought he was going to talk about the mortgage more, but let me go and get to that. I don't know what he's talking about as far. I got to get to the training as far as no money down, no bad credit. I don't know where they got that going on. So I don't know what he's talking about as far as that. I guess I gotta attend the training. As far as the real estate boom, I don't think so, because the 40-year mortgage has been in the market for years. Since I've been in the business, this 40-year mortgages that's been out. So another 10 more years, I mean, I guess it's better marketing. So that might throw some more people in the ring, but I don't think it's going to be a boom like he's talking about. I get for investors that'll, I guess I don't see what he's talking about. I don't see it.
Well, I don't either. Honestly, we both need to probably training us three, but I can see from an investor standpoint saving. Or I guess in this case, getting an extra $300 because your whatever your rental rate is, you're gonna, of course have that covered. And if that zeroes out, then in this case you're gonna have an extra $200, and 300 times 12 times whatever. I mean, that'll be a net for them. And then just I guess when you go to sell it, just know that you're not gonna you're not gonna break the bank, but at least you're gonna make your money while you have a tenant in there. But as far as just speaking on what he was talking about, but he's talking about $1 million houses. I don't see that.
Right. You gotta be, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to see what, as far as a niche for that, besides for what I was talking about, the people that, I guess on the investment side, it would increase the cash flow a little bit. Airbnb, especially with the short-term rentals. But again, you kicking that can down the curb a little bit, down the street a little bit longer. I mean, I don't know. We're talking about the zero interest and all. I mean, zero. I know we're going to talk about this a little bit later on the show. When they start in 2026, I don't know if you heard that the limit's gone for conforming as well. The credit, there's no more like VA. There's no more credit limit.
I don't know.
No more credit score needed. Just DU approval for conforming. I don't know if you heard about that yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about.
It's still kind of new. It's still kind of new, but a couple. There's a few things that I wanted to comment as far as Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone has always talked about no money down for a while, but his no money down is essentially, you know what I'm saying, none of your own money, which I don't necessarily know why he doesn't say that, but it doesn't sound that good in the marketing. So Grant Cardone teaches a bunch of, putting deals together. You put deals together, and then you get investors to put up the money. You put investors to put up the earnest money. You get investors to put up the down payment and the closing costs, and then you just essentially source the deal. Put all the investors together. You don't have any money out of your pocket. So that's what he classifies no money down. Just clarify that. This is essentially going to be the same. The only thing he's just saying now is that with a 50-year mortgage, the payments are going to be lower, so then the cash flow should be more.
Right.
But I think, when it comes to this 50-year mortgage, I think it is going to be a boom. And I can see it being a boom because if you have a 30-year mortgage and you refinance that 30-year mortgage and you put it on a 15-year, your payment almost doubles, right? Because you're paying it off with the least amount of time. We in America has always lived by the creed, and it's a large percentage of us that live by the creed. We're willing to overpay for convenience, and that's essentially what a 50-year mortgage is. So now a 50-year mortgage, you're taking this person that can only get $150,000 on a property, and $150,000 in Houston would probably get you a shack that's probably going to blow down, right? Now you can get in the running and talk about getting a $200,000 or $250,000 house now that you're going on a 50-year mortgage, because yes, you're paying more interest, but the monthly payment is a little bit more affordable for you on a monthly basis. So I do see the real estate boom coming. If it's going to be a good thing for the market, I think that remains to be seen. But I do see a lot of people looking at, 50-year mortgage. I can get that price house for this amount of money. I'm all in, and they're going to definitely dump down on it. It's the same thing as cars. People are paying 20 or 30% for cars because if they can afford the monthly payment, they don't care what the interest rate is. It's just the truth of the matter. And I think, for 50-year mortgage, it's going to be the same. As long as they can afford the payment, they don't care how much more interest they're going to pay. They don't care how much additional amount they're going to have to pay on their property. They just don't care because it's convenient for them. It's convenient. They can afford it. That's all that matters.
Right. So again, like I said, I don't know if it's necessarily going to be a boom because it's so niche. Maybe, like I said, because it's got national press, it might get a little bit more push because, they framed it as political, so, and they framed it as Trump introduced it. So maybe it will get a little bit more push. But again, that having a longer term mortgage has been out, like 40 years been out for a minute. So I think I've done that one time, like 8 years ago. This is very, very niche. So, maybe the marketing, because like I said, we're going to do one more 50-year mortgage, then we're going to open it up a little bit more. Don't forget, ask any questions. Like I said, we read Sir Mod earlier, question. So go ahead, throw the comments on in the chat here. We'll read them live. I got one more video on this 50-year mortgage, then we're going to go ahead and open it up a little bit more to a couple more real estate topics and stuff like that, a couple more topics, period. So let's go ahead and run it. Let's see.
Just announced that they're working on a 50-year mortgage. Now, is this the solution to the housing crisis, or is it a lifetime of debt? Let's crunch the numbers. The average person buying a home today is about 34 years old. So by the time they pay off a 50-year mortgage, they're 84 years old. So math aside, they're going to put you in the old folks' home before you even own this home outright. Let's say you took out a $400,000 loan on a 15-year mortgage. Well, all in all, that loan will cost you $569,000. That's $169,000 in interest. Now let's move to the 30-year loan. That 30-year loan is going to cost you $863,000. So you're still looking at twice the cost of the home plus a little bit just to pay off that home in 30 years. Now let's move to the 50-year mortgage. Well, that $400,000 loan is going to cost you over $1 million in interest alone. Get this, you're going to pay $1.44 million all told by the time that 50 years is over. And by the way, you're 84 years old. That's 6 times as much interest as a 15-year loan, which by the way, on a 15-year, You own that home outright by the time you're 49 years old if you just make the payments on time. With a 50-year mortgage, you're asking for a lifetime of debt. And here's a bunch of other reasons why this is a terrible idea. You barely build equity. You're basically just renting from the bank forever. Here's why. Most of the payment is going toward interest, not principal. The longer you stretch out the loans, the longer you're going to pay interest. So here's the deal. It's going to take you 25 years just for more money to be going to the principal versus interest. That is insane. Next up, it's going to drive home prices up, not down. Here's why. More people can afford homes, therefore homeowners can demand more for that home. So when you increase demand and you have the same amount of supply, you're going to see prices go up. And the other thing is banks, lenders, and investors don't want to wait half a century to get their money. So what this means for you is higher rates and way more fees baked into the cost because you are a risky borrower. So here's the truth. The 50-year mortgage doesn't solve any part of the housing crisis. It's only going to make it worse because you're going to be making that last payment from the nursing home. So stick to a 15-year loan that can actually help you build wealth. A 30-year loan will delay it. A 50-year mortgage, well, you're not going to be owning anything in your lifetime. You'll just be owing. Guys, Trump just announced that they're working on a 50.
Again, like I said earlier, I mean, again, I'm torn on it. Again, I got to straddle the fence on this one. Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna echo it one more time. I agree for that particular teacher. That's all you can afford. Yeah, but I don't think. Again, I'm an advocate of ownership. So,
Right.
you know,
I got one. So when I had started my real estate company, I was told that between 3 to 5 years is usually the amount of time that people stay in houses, right? So with that being said, and you don't buy a new house or a bigger house because you lost money, right? You usually do that. You're in a better position. So I think that for, who can see the future, but I think for somebody who's on the up and up that needs a 50-year mortgage today, in 3 to 5 years, they might be able to do a 15-year mortgage. It's one of those things to where you got to get in kind of where you fit in this case, and you're not gonna nobody pays the whole 50 years. I mean, you're not gonna, nobody does that. So I don't get the point he's trying to make. I think he's just trying to promote 15-year mortgages. That's what it seemed like to me.
Well, here's the thing, you know what I'm saying? In all honesty, I'm saying I'll oblige, I'm saying, to have the whole 50-year conversation. I honestly don't think, you know what I'm saying, a 50 years is ever going to happen. Me personally, you know what I'm saying? I think it's just a kind of a political ploy, but I think the 50 years is going to get caught in so much red tape. It's never going to happen. But it's a great topic of conversation for sure.
right. So again, like I said, I definitely agree with you as far as most people are going to refi out of it, or move to a different house. But it is, if you're getting into that house and you have zero equity, all you did was pay interest that whole 5 years, mostly interest because you got that 50-year mortgage. It's not as good. It doesn't have the same luster as a 30-year. So you're gonna be paying interest for the most part. It's gonna be so front loaded.
Well, it's mostly interest, but you still have pay down in there. I mean,
You
it's
still
still
have
pay down in there.
You're just watering it down by 40%, but yeah, I mean, but I mean, if again, I think I don't want to exclude any products. If the product is out there, I'm all in because again, we in the mortgage business. So if I can bring more buyers, what do y'all say to it driving prices up? Because the more people in the pool, the more the house is the more competition, the more multi-offer, the more.
Well, like Corey said, it has to be, real. It has to be actually realized and be a actual product before we can talk about the housing market. But say for instance, it did come into fruition. Everything he said is true. It's gonna still depend on the terms, right? I mean, if you get a 30-year mortgage for 5.5% and you get a 50-year mortgage for 7.5%, nobody in their right mind is gonna take that. I mean, it's the devil's in the details with this one, but overall, I mean, if you can get the same interest rate for 50 years and 30 years, who matters? If you're gonna be out there in 6 years anyway, I mean, you can't expect to make anything off when you sell it, but hopefully break even. But if you're in a better position of where you don't really need to, where you don't really need to have that house sold to get a new one, or if you can get a renter in there and bankroll more money because your payments are smaller than the 30-year, then that's also an option.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. But what do you think about? I know it's just like the sports commentators. We speculating right now. What do you think? Do you think it's gonna make a difference? Because now you got more people in the market, so there's gonna be higher prices.
I don't think so. It's so much in Houston, at least. It's so much inventory. I mean, it's just so much inventory to where I mean, maybe in 2 years when the interest rate drop, or whenever, if they ever do drop, maybe if the interest rate drop, yes, but that's gonna have everybody in the market, not necessarily only 50-year mortgage people.
You don't think there's another? It's like that restaurant. They already got slam and oxtails, but now they added another menu item, so it just make that line longer now.
I don't think so. Just because it's been such a seller's market for so long that, I mean, I'll be, it's going to take years to reverse that, if you ask me.
So I definitely think, it's going to affect the market. And I think, a couple of different things that we're talking about, I think you will see it within the structure of the way banks do things now, right? So when you talk about the interest rates being higher, if you go out and get a brand new car or even a used car, your interest rate on a 5-year is going to be lower than your interest rate on a 7-year. Because what they're doing is, they're giving you more time, so they're going to bump up that interest rate. It's just the structure of banks. If you're looking at a mortgage, your interest rate on a 30-year mortgage is going to be a little bit more than on a 15-year mortgage, because banks are all about getting their money back as soon as possible. So now you take a 30-year, you extend that to a 50-year, you can absolutely bank on having a higher interest rate, because now you've given the convenience of having more time to pay it off. That's the first thing. The second thing is I think if you look at the structure of the way COVID was, when COVID and interest rates started dropping, or whatever the case may be, everybody started getting a frenzy, the same way a 50-year mortgage would be a frenzy. Everybody's jumping in the pool, supply and demand. The demand is going to drive up prices, because now that same house that's in good shape, everybody wants that house. That's a bid war now. Now they're waiving appraisals, they're waiving inspections, they're waiving all this other stuff, and they're paying $20,000 or $30,000 over what the list price is. So I definitely think it's going to affect the market the exact same way that he says. And I don't think it's going to be a quick thing. So if they ever do come up with the 50, I don't think it's going to happen overnight. But I think gradually we're going to run into the same problems we did during COVID.
Well, I think this situation is a lot different than COVID, right? Because COVID, nobody, 2.2. I mean, that it's never has been that low.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken. So that's one of those things to where that might be like an ace in the hole with COVID. But like I said, if you have adding an extra point to when you're going from 30 to 50, and now you can't afford the monthly payment, or it's the same thing as a 30, then I mean, I don't see that being something that's gonna have people in a frenzy.
Right. I think, like I said, I think it will add some people in on a lower level, and because it's going to be that $200,000 house is going to get that 50 on there. I don't see too many $1 million houses, not in that area. Now maybe in California, that's going to try to do a 50-year on there. Most of those people are going to do 15, if that. So in our area, I believe that it's going to be those lower price houses that's going to get those 50-year on, and there's going to be more people in that market. Another thing that's different than COVID is that it was a limited time only. So if everybody jump in the pool before the water come out of the pool. So if that 50 years, if they approve it, it's here to stay. So there's no rush. So it will add people in the market, but people will trickle instead of rush, I believe. So I think that's going to be the difference. 50 years, I get to it when I get to it. That 2 point or something, like, hey, you better get it now before they go back up. Who knows? So that's why it was a feeding frenzy at that particular point. You know,
It is
so,
the fear. It is the fear of loss. I guess, you know what I'm saying, my point was more so about the supply and demand of it, right? So, you know what I'm saying, not necessarily just the scarcity and people jumping into the pool. It's just, you know what I'm saying, when there's more demand in the market, regardless of, you know what I'm saying, if it's an extra 20% or if it's 50%, it's going to affect the prices of houses. It's just during COVID, it affected at a rapid rate. But if you compare 50% increase in price and 20% increase in price, it's still an increase in price, any way you look at it. So it's just simple supply and demand. And I still think a 50-year mortgage, a person that afforded a $200,000 house could now possibly afford a $350,000 house, which is the house that they wanted anyway, because it had all the bells and whistles and they know they couldn't afford it. The demand is just going to increase, period.
Gotcha. Don't forget, y'all, hit that like button, hit that. I see at one point we had like 30, 40 people in there. I ain't been hitting this like button, man. Hit this like button so that can boost us up on the algorithm. I see like 2-3 people hit the like button. Go ahead, hit that like button. Go ahead. Don't forget to comment in the chat. We'll read it live here. Let's go ahead and open it up a little bit more.
I thought we had a comment, B, that you pulled up there.
Yeah, this was from earlier. We already answered it, so we didn't want to answer it. Yeah, you know, so
this out. Starting on day one, we will expand the city's special enforcement programs, doubling fines for hazardous violations and tripling them for conditions that are immediately dangerous. And when a really bad landlord, like this guy, refuses to fix it, the city's going to step in, make the repairs, and send them the bill.
Watch next.
If that doesn't work, the city's taking over the building. We're putting the worst landlords out of business.
He says, we're going to take over the building.
So it's theirs. It's the city's.
So you mean like seize the means of production,
That's
like
exactly
communists?
Wait a minute.
So he's saying the quiet part out loud,
Yes.
and people voted for
That's
it.
right.
So let me get this straight. Zoran Mandani, the new mayor of New York City, is threatening to take properties from slumlords, yet the city is the worst landlord in New York City. So Zoran Mandani gets on camera threatening private landlords, or what he calls slumlords, that if they don't do the necessary repairs or start to do the maintenance in their properties, that the city is going to come in, take over, and do the necessary repairs. Sounds good on camera, sounds good on paper, but here's where his logic falls apart. The city has already been proven to be the worst landlord in New York City already. So let me give you all some real facts. NYCHA, the New York City Housing Authority, that's public housing, that's city owned. And those same buildings have lead paint, black mold, busted elevators, rats, roaches, heat outages every winter, and hallways that smell like piss. And it's been that way for decades. This city has a proven track record of neglecting its own residents, people who depend on them for a safe home. And now they want to convince the public that they are qualified to take over private properties and do a better job. Come on, people, make that make sense. The same city that's under federal investigation for mismanaging housing funds, the same city that can't complete basic repairs on time, is now talking about confiscating, essentially stealing from private landlords so that they could do a better job. Now, here's the contradiction. The private sector gets dragged for being slumlords, but the public sector has been running slums for generations. Yo, Zoran Mandani, if you want to prove something, start by fixing those projects. Fix your own properties first, the ones that you are now responsible for, before you start worrying about others. Because the truth is, if the city can't maintain what they already own, they sure hell ain't gonna be doing better in the private sector. I'm just asking the question that everybody else seems to be afraid to ask. How can the city and their new mayor call out slumlords, yet the city is the biggest slumlord in the game?
Tough.
man, I'll go ahead first one because I'm while y'all comment, I'll find the next clip. But yeah, man, I think he's spitballing, man. As far as Mandani, I mean, he won off of it. They're going to show you about the American public. But a lot of the stuff that he's talking about, it can't possibly work. It doesn't work. It's proven to not work. I mean, it sounds good to certain people. I mean, I guess if you into that free stuff, but it's not practical. So all right, so you're gonna take these properties. Now what? Where you gonna get the money to fix them up? Like what you supposed to do with them? They always in the budget. They can't fix the pothole, but you gonna fix up these private properties and stuff. Like, come on, man, stop it. Knock it off. Like, where my sound effects at, man? I got it. Here you go, right there, man.
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
I gotta come on, man. You supposed to knock it off, man. But they voted for him, and you about to see this tremendous 180 when he found out how this stuff really worked. And all this stuff he promised, all this free stuff he promised, it ain't gonna come to fruition. And then we're gonna see what's happening from there. Well, I'll go ahead and open it up.
Starting to believe, in politics, all you got to do is run and say, you can promise rainbows and ponies. And then everybody seems to believe it. It's the craziest damn thing, like more and more I watch these politicians, they just come and they just blow smoke out their tail, And the public seem to believe it at every single turn. I do think, he's blowing smoke. I think, he may have an objective. He may give an effort towards it, but it's just not going to simply happen. Because the number one question, is where is he going to get the money to manage it? And where is he going to get the money to fix it up? The government will let you know now, they're low on budget on everything. They don't have money for this. They don't have money for that. So now where are you going to find this additional money to actually maintain this building, to actually fix up this building? It's just unnecessary.
Then you could go down there to get a permit or something. You take 2-3 hours. What if you got a busted pipe at the middle of the night? Who you gonna call?
Look, but they tell you now they short staff. Right. We don't have it in the budget. But yet you're gonna have budget to take on additional things.
Who's gonna manage it?
But look, hey, he accomplished his goal. I guess apparently he got voted in by blowing smoke, and there he is.
Come on, man.
Yeah, I'm like you just mentioned, Corey. The government is already short staffed, so you trying to take funds that's not there, that doesn't seem possible. But it's like you said, it's just a political thing. You tell people what they want to hear. In his case, or in most politicians' case, you just you find out what the ick is, and you promise to fix that ick, and that is what it is. I really don't have too much to say about that. I think y'all hit every angle.
I just want to hit this angle. Has the public gotten that naive and that gullible? Like we don't do any critical thinking. This ain't that hard to decipher. So I don't know how they fell for this.
I mean, look at and like I said, I'm not a Democrat or Republican, to be honest with you. But look at the current administration. You got people that's willing to turn a blind eye or turn off their brain and believe. So I think so. To answer your question, I think so.
I just think when it comes to politics, people just kind of want to be optimistic, and they want to believe the person that they like the most versus actually using logic to kind of decipher if that's true or not. I think, if it's a likable person, they're promising things that hit close to home, you're almost guaranteed that vote, regardless if it makes sense or not.
Yeah, this is where it gets to dangerous territory, I think, man, when the brain's all the way off, TikTok rot. So this is getting dangerous territory here. Let's go and run this next one.
Highways for travelers and truck drivers. Each cabin comes with a bed, Wi-Fi, air conditioning, and bathroom essentials. Everything you need for a safe night's rest. The cabins are simple and compact, so they can be set up anywhere. If no one's doing this in your country yet, you could be the one. I share clever business ideas. Follow for more. In Brazil, they built...
Real quick on that one. Let's go. I put that in there, man. Like I said, I think, and just to juxtapose the 50 year. I think that's the future. I think
Smaller spots.
Smaller spots. I think
tiny houses.
Tiny houses, tiny like spaces with the bare necessities, bare bones. A bed, a kitchen, a bathroom, a shower. SSS. What is it? Shit, shower, shave?
Nah. I think Corey said it. I mean, we as Americans, we are very consumptuous, and so everybody wants bigger and better. I'm not sure about. I think, from what I understand, you know, so I don't think so. Maybe it could be something that, depending on the economics and depending on, you know, your financial situation, it could be beneficial for a couple months, you know, while you know, in between things. But I don't see it being like a long term thing, because most people they don't really care about the space between the house. But you know, you living with folks. It's too confined, and we love you know, the bells and the whistles, and that's definitely bare bones.
Mm-hmm. I think it's too. Hear me out. First of all, this new Gen Z, they different. They different than our generation. They different than millennials. They different than Gen Xers, was my generation.
Yeah,
they minimalists. You know, they nomads. That nomad living is a real thing. You know, online, go, you know, from spot to spot, you know, not owning stuff. Uber, you know, laptop, you know, they into that.
That's what I heard too.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that A, and then B, people that's, you know, downsizing, empty nesters. Do they really need a big backyard, or can they be in a community? You know, because if you look at Florida's, how they have these, you know, senior communities, 55 plus. You know, so instead of these big elaborate houses, not really elaborate, but these 2-bedroom traditional looking houses, why not shrink that blueprint? All right, and then instead of a trailer park, instead of a single wide trailer park, why not have something that looks a little bit more modern? You know, and it's the same concept, you know, as a trailer park. All right, you don't really own the land, or you could either own the tiny house, get that for like 10 G's, and then park it here and pay the rent, or you could, you know, you could rent the whole thing, and then people invest in that, and it's the same concept as a trailer park with a modern approach. It's just rehashing that idea for the new generation. So I think that's the future. I think affordable, smaller, but you know, it's functional.
I feel a little bit different about that. You know what I'm saying? In a couple of different respects. There's multiple things to kind of unlayer here. You know what I'm saying? The first thing is this: when you talk about tiny homes, I think tiny homes is a resolution to a problem that we're having right now until something better comes along. If there is something better that comes along, for example, you know what I'm saying, if we are talking about this 50-year thing that we was talking about in the beginning of the video, if a 50-year comes along, a person is going to much rather use a 50-year and purchase an actual house versus a tiny home. That's my opinion. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be more demand. So tiny homes is a thing now. There's more tiny home communities popping up because that is the best solution right now for affordability. There's really nothing else. But when something else does come along, where now you was barely making it, now you can actually afford a home. People are going to much rather afford a home. You know what I'm saying? They're going to much rather want to buy a regular home and typically have a family and have the green grass and lot of spots for the place for the kids to play and all that other stuff. They're going to prefer that over a tiny home. That's the first thing. The second thing that we talked about as far as the new generation, to me, I think the new generation is a lot different than just being minimalist. I think now versus back when we grew up, it's so accessible to have social media. Huh?
I said back when y'all grew up.
Yeah, back when we grew up. You know what I'm saying? Because we old. You can see the white on B's beard. You know what I'm saying? Look at that. Back when we grew up, you know what I'm saying? For the new generation, with this whole social media thing, and wanting to be like the streamer, the high streamer, where they got all these flashy cars, they got all these big houses and everything else. I don't think it's on their mind to my goal is to be in an apartment. My goal is to be in a tiny house. I think their goal is to be just like their favorite streamer, their favorite rapper, their favorite whoever that they see right there on their phone. They want a house because they want to be able to flex. They want the house, they want the cars, and they want to be able to flex. So I differ in those opinions, but you know what I'm saying? I just think it's a little bit different than, going down the route of tiny homes. I don't think tiny homes is going to be, if the 50-year happening comes, then I just don't think tiny homes is going to be the answer anymore.
Again, I'm not saying that it's going to be all or nothing. I think it's going to be part of the solution as far as the future. I think America is about choices. So, I think we're going to I think this is another choice that we can add to the mix, but I think it's right on trend because a lot of them are want to be not tied down to anything, so having that type of community like that, like they said, that's in Brazil right there. I think, you stay 2-3 months, exhaust the town, go out, do your work during the day, somewhere to chill, lay your head. I would do something to that effect. A friend of mine that's a recent divorcee that I was telling you about Dunbar the other day. He just sold his house and shit. He thinking about getting a mobile home, like like RV and just travel, because he just travel. So that's the thing.
I got two more things about this one. So I think what you said, Dixon, I think that it would maybe cater to 55 and up, folks, less clean. If everybody else 55, I can do 55 plus things, in the community yard. I think that might actually not be a bad idea for that community. Second thing, I'm like, I know Dixon not. Corey, are you married?
Yeah.
So do you think you and your wife can coexist in that tiny home?
No way. No way. And then we got two boys. So you know what I'm saying? It's just no way.
Right.
Yeah, now here, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of families that are able to do it, right? There's a lot of families, cramped up in apartments and stuff like that. But you know what I'm saying? What I'm speaking on is my family and it's relative to everybody else, but we couldn't do it. No.
Right. Again, you're at a different part of life. First of all, you're a millennial. You're at a different part of life. You're 40s. I'm talking about the people that's either in college, just getting out of college, first go around, or you just recently retired or something like that. You're empty nester. That's a niche. I think that's for them. Now you got a family, 2-3 kids. Like, of course not. It's a 1-bedroom. How could you stay there? But I'm talking about people that's young professionals, that's single, mingling. You don't want to be. Think about it. I felt kind of out of place too sometimes when I first got out of college. I had this big old house, like it was almost too much. It was just a flex, and like it was too much. If I could live that nomad life, and all right, I here 2-3 months and 6 months, and then go to another city, then go to another city, then go to another city. That would be, And then if I wanted to flex or something like that, nowadays you have something where you could Airbnb something. You could rent something if I wanted to throw a party or something like that. But to lay my head, I would want something cheap. And if I'm gonna meet something, I'll meet something in an Airbnb or a hotel, something extravagant. So I think that's kind of it's options. I think that's where it's going. Like a lot of people have these car clubs and stuff like that. What is it? What's the name of that app? Where they rent these cars and stuff like that, carpooling. Turo. Yeah. Turo. So boys Turo, and I Turo to the club this week. You switching cars.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody is right. I think options are always good, but I think what I would see that is I would cater that towards like empty nesters,
right? For sure.
So you can have a community there. Y'all can do bonfires. whatever they do, you know, in that. But the younger folks, I don't. And I should have shared this video with you, Dixon. They were going around and asking people like their salaries, right? And so you had like a fireman, he making 200.
Yeah.
You had a loan officer, he was making 350. He was making like 275. And then this random lady that was a YouTube streamer, she's making almost $500,000 a year.
Right.
And so it's one of those things. So if you're making $500,000 a year, you ain't gonna, you know, you're not gonna put up, you know, to nothing like that. And that's where it's going towards with the streaming and all that good stuff. But I think empty nesters, you know, 55 and up, I think that's actually a great idea. We probably should look into it.
Depends. Let me tell you why. I hired I recently, hired a streamer earlier this year, influencer, pretty big influencer, and again, it's all smoke and mirrors. I know this is a one-off, but he gave me a lot of insight into what's going on. A lot of those influencers, some of them making it, some of them faking it till they make it. So he Airbnb-ing it, and he, it's feast of famine. So he Airbnb-ing it, he here, he there, and he DoorDash in here, he doing that, but shit, that's how he making it. So he sometimes he'll win off of that cash out, sometimes he won't. So a lot of them, doing it, so but when they flex, they'll Airbnb something.
Mm-hmm.
And throw a party or something like that, but it all be a facade. Mm-hmm. So I got a good insight on. I'm not gonna shout him out because he might be watching me, but but yeah, I hired a streamer, that was pretty big on TikTok and the rest of them.
How much you paid him?
I don't want to.
I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you.
But let's go run this next.
It's always interesting because people talk about Atlanta specifically is the Black Mecca and culture and all these opportunities. But when you kind of start to peel the thing back a little bit and ask yourself some hard questions like, okay, who actually owns what out here, and who's actually building, who's actually in control, where's the actual money coming from? Like those answers aren't always the answers people want to see.
I don't want this to sound sad, but I think it's just a reality. So our new location, you can see the entire city from Buckhead all the way through downtown and beyond. When I look at that skyline and the community that I serve the most, I'm focused on Black folks. Nobody Black owns most or any of that skyline. So here we are, right, in a culture capital, in what is seen as a Black Mecca. Mm-hmm. But if they just look at the dirt, right, like we're not owning much of any of the dirt, right? And we can do that same sort of analysis across category, and that is what makes this moment scary. So no, we're not any less creative than we've ever been, but there's being creative, and then there's the business of creativity, right? And unfortunately here, those checks aren't the same. I mean, we have a location in LA. It's obvious, right, when someone is thinking about doing even an event in Atlanta, you get an Atlanta budget, which is very different than an LA budget, despite talking to very similar audiences, right? So like the business of how the city moves right now, we've got to continue to shine a spotlight on that. A lot of our creatives are more capable producing, I would argue, the best stuff that you're going to find. Mm-hmm. The cash that's in the city tied to that doesn't match at all.
Yeah, and I mean it's always interesting too because people talk about Atlanta specifically is the Black.
Gotcha. Y'all want to open that up, or y'all want me to open it up first? Because I gotta find. Let me go open it up first because while y'all comment, I'm gonna find the next clip. I mean, I noticed this. I don't know if I said this on the show before. I think I did early, but I'm gonna go ahead and reiterate and repeat it. I did a research, because I do things like that. I researched, because I'm licensed in Georgia, and a big percentage of my business is in Atlanta and surrounding areas. I need to open it up to more Georgia, Savannah and all that. So y'all holler at me as well. So but I'm big in Atlanta because first of all, there's not too many of Georgia's one of the strictest in the nation as far as loan officers, as far as you got to be squeaky clean, you got to have A1 credit, so on and so forth. So a lot of people just don't qualify. Also, you got to be W-2 as far as Georgia as well. So a lot of people want to be 1099, so you can't be 1099 as far as a loan officer in Georgia. But long story short, I did I think this was pre-pandemic. I want to say 19. I did a study on the top realtors, the top loan officers, and I did who was making all the money. And you probably don't believe this, and this was at the time. This is about 6-year-old data now, so there's not one person of color in the top 50 in either category. As black as Atlanta is, not even close. So a lot of the money that's being moved around as far as real estate, and they're not using us, or so. The closest one was like in the top 75, and he did a lot of his business in Tennessee. So it's crazy. So we making money, but are we spending it? Are we circulating the money? Are we really owning the dirt, like he said? Who really owning the dirt? Because it looked like a lot of people from New York coming in and owning everything and doing the big commercial deals and all that stuff. So I'll just leave it like that. So I like the vibe. When I went out there last time, I like the vibe. My cousin's out there and everything like that. But yeah, who really owning everything?
I would like to know, what actually is true, because all these rappers rap about, buying up real estate and property out there in Atlanta. Right. And then you have Tyler Perry that was supposed to be buying up a whole bunch of property out there in Atlanta. But not to say, that's going to get them in the top 50 or whatever, but I'm just curious. I'm just curious to know where does that place them, or if it's even happening, or are they just blowing smoke, whatever it is. But I mean, it ain't really much for me to comment on it. It's just a shame to see. I think we are making progress, but I think sometimes progress that we make is not fast enough for some people. So I think eventually we'll get there. We're just not there now.
I have a couple of friends or colleagues in Georgia. I think Georgia is one of those states to where, and to rebuke what you just said. The rappers, they don't really live in Atlanta. They live in like the suburbs of Atlanta, some, whatever. They live in the Sugarland of Atlanta, or, the Rosenbergs of Atlanta. They don't really live in Atlanta because, it's pretty locked up. But Georgia is one of those places, and from what I understand is Atlanta is expensive, but if you go 15 miles out of Atlanta, you start getting some very economical numbers. And you just go to Atlanta to have fun. Like the people that I know from Georgia, they go to Atlanta, have fun. They come back to acre and a half, and that's where they live at. So I would definitely agree that it's probably still the same as far as Atlanta goes, but not everybody is living in Atlanta that owns homes. They live in around Atlanta. Doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Okay.
Well, yeah. My thing is they not really the people that are, and I did Atlanta and surrounding areas. They're not using us as far as real estate, and then all those people that get online, all those influencers. I can name like 5 right off the top. Boom, boom, boom. That's huge influencers. They're not in the top 50. People that they're not even the top real estate agents out there. So they get on. I don't know if they capping. I don't. I think they doing well. Either those people doing that much better, or they capping. Who knows? But I mean, I don't see us doing the big deals. Again, that was the 6-year-old data. I'm gonna redo it here shortly. See who's the movers and shakers, especially for 2026. I'm gonna see who's moving and who's really moving. So let's see if it changed. And I noticed I had one. I shouldn't say this, but and again, this is anecdotal, so I'm not saying this is the norm. You know, I've had referrals in Atlanta. And I try to pass it off to, you know, people that look like us. Sometimes they prefer others. So, you know, I've had people that I try to lock them in. Like, nah, give me somebody else. I give them somebody else who's different. All right, yeah, man, I appreciate that. Like, that, what he did, that was different than, you know what I'm saying? You know, so, you know, and I know this is anecdotal, so I'm not saying this is the norm, but this is what I experienced. So, again, let's go ahead and run this next one. This one I should have followed with I see where I was going because, you know, these are from last week because we missed last week. So I see where I was going with this. But yeah, this is an interesting topic, man. I think Tommy Sotomayor did a show. No, Anton did a show on this same clip as well. This is interesting. Interesting study.
Of men 25 have never approached a woman in person.
Never asked a woman out in person. And what they're up against, think about it. Our economy literally rests on 10 companies now, often referred to as the Magnificent 10. And they do several things, but quite frankly, they're in the business of enragement, polarization, and then sequestering young people from all other activities.
And that's only getting worse given where AI is going. I mean, with like, agents and chatbots who are, sexually clad anime type figures chatting with young men.
Well, it starts pretty innocent. When you use AI, have you noticed the prompts that are almost irresistible at the end? Let me put this in a series of tweets. Right. Before you know it, you're 3 hours deep. But effectively, these companies have attached the entire economy and literally trillions of dollars to trying to get people or trying to convince young people, specifically young men who are more susceptible because, quite frankly, their prefrontal cortices isn't as developed, to try and convince them they can have a reasonable facsimile of life online. Why go through the hierarchy of trying to make friends? It's not easy, right? Why try to figure out how to navigate a corporate, all this, when you can go on Reddit or Discord and find friends, or you can trade crypto or stocks on Robinhood or Coinbase? And why, Anderson, would you go through the rejection, the dressing well, the effort, the expense, the humiliation, developing a kindness practice of trying to establish a romantic partnership when you have literally lifelike synthetic forms? So what are we doing? I think we have our economy is attached to one objective, and that is to evolve a new species of asocial, asexual males. Unintentionally, we have an economic interest right now, I would argue, in planning our own extinction.
45% of men 18 to 25 have never approached a woman in person.
I had to replay that to make sure 45% of male 18 to 25 have never approached a woman in person. Wow. That's
I can understand. I can see that.
Wow. This is new generations for sure. So,
So I can see that. If you ever been to a middle school dance, or even a high school dance for that matter, you know what I'm saying? They sit on opposite sides, which is crazy to me. The approaching of, you know what I'm saying, of trying to approach somebody, you know what I'm saying, to get a girl to come over there and do the Tootsie Roll with you or whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's a new generation. It's not in it.
Now let's couple that. You think that particular male is gonna get a big ass house?
Yes. because that particular male is hooked on social media and it scrolls. Hey, look, if scrolling is not one of the most antisocial and independent things that most people do, the numbers on that has to be crazy. So you telling me if somebody looking at social media and they're a young kid and they're influenced and they're looking at that, they're not going to want the same exact things? I'd be hard pressed to believe you if you tell me that ain't the case.
Because they're looking at social media and they see all the TNA and they still ain't approaching. So that's a little bit more powerful and a little bit more easy to obtain.
They see all that TNA, but how many videos are they actually seeing where I'm saying guys is actually walking up to them and approaching them?
They got several Riz channels. That's all devoted to nothing but Risen.
That's what I'm saying. But if you compare that, put it in percentages, B. If you're putting in percentages versus somebody that's just coming on a stream and they already got a female sitting there, you're telling me that's a larger percentage of Riz channels versus you know what I'm saying, the female.
You got whatever you want out there. There's channels. If you want to see dudes approaching women, there's large channels. There's several channels devoted to that.
That's correct.
Thing. That's the thing.
That's correct.
But
that's not the idolized channel though.
Right. So you're saying that people look at houses more than they would look at dudes approaching.
So I give you okay. So let me give you an example, B. If you talk about Kai Cenat, you would say Kai Cenat is one of the biggest streamers that's out there, right? Some would argue the number one streamer that's out there. Have you ever heard of Kai Cenat? Let's just start there, B. Because you got a lot of gray, in your beard. You know what I'm saying? You probably ain't heard of Kai Cenat. Have you heard of him?
Yeah, I heard of him.
Okay. So Kai Cenat is one of the biggest streamers out there. You can look at all his streams, you can look at all his videos. There's not a Riz video out there that he has, but he is in videos with Kevin Hart.
He does.
He has a Riz video where?
It wasn't really a Riz, but I think he was in Mexico or some country like that, and then he pretended to know this lady and then spoke up a conversation and then stuff like that. So I mean, you know, I think he does, but of course not when he's with Drewski and other people at whatever house he's at. But when he's like out and about, he does, you know.
Well, here's the thing, you know what I'm saying, is that Kai Cenat has a longtime girlfriend that he's been with for years. So if it was a Riz video, you know what I'm saying, it had to be, I don't know, maybe something for views or whatever the case may be. But when you look at majority of his videos and you look at it and he's on there with Kevin Hart or he's on there with Drewski or he's on there with some celebrity, Lotto or whatever the case may be, it really has nothing to do with Riz. You know what I'm saying?
Well, he did have one in Nigeria. He was risen in Nigeria. He had one that when he went to Nigeria, he was risen. You seen that one?
I seen that one, but I don't know where he was risen.
No, he was in Nigeria, and he was on a few. You know, he was comparing to why he was talking a couple of different ones, like, hey, why you think this about me? Why you think, he was on a couple of them, and this was a while back. This was probably 2-3 years ago that I seen this one when he used to. This is when I first heard of him. When I first heard him about 2-3 years ago. But anyway, I don't see the logic. I mean, of course, that one particular instance. The point is that
that's not the particular instance is, you know what I'm saying, when you look at a streamer like that, you know what I'm saying, you look at these big ass houses to which he streams in, and you have everybody talking about, you know what I'm saying, Kai Cenat's house is 3 whatever million or whatever millions of dollars or whatever the case may be. That's what people see, that's what they want. So the idolization, you know what I'm saying, becomes more about the actual house and the lifestyle, the cars and everything else. Oh, they get a chance to hang out with celebrities because they're streaming and all this other stuff. It becomes more about that than actually Riz is what I'm trying to get to.
Dumbo, you understood any of that?
I understand. He's saying that. I mean, if you're going to be influenced by these folks that are popular and they are showing off, or whether it be with their own money or Airbnb or a loan or whatever, and you see that and you're already influenced by it, then you're going to kind of want to put your shoes in their put your feet in their shoes. And if they got a big ass house, they got a Rolls Royce or whatever, you're going to want to try to do the same thing. But I mean, what I would say, since I got the floor, that's crazy. And I guess he said in real life. So I mean, if you on whatever platform and you see somebody, that's not what he's talking about. But I would like to see the difference in folks from the South, versus who. I mean, I would want to see the percentage of folks from the South, because I think from folks from the South or a little bit more apt to, hospitality and talking, and whether it be trying to, get a lady's number or pursue a relationship with her. I think people are, men and women from the South are a little bit more adapted to talking to the opposite sex.
I don't know about if it's a Southern thing anymore. I think, like I said, since 2008, I think things have changed. I mean, I get what you're saying as far as hospitality, but I'm talking about since online dating has come about, since the fear of rejection has become the trope nowadays. I think numbers don't lie. I got to see the, I looked at the studies online, but I got to see more data. But I tend to believe it. I could believe it about approaching half, of males. You got some that's outgoing, some that's not, some that's socially awkward, that's been coddled. My cousin was like that. I hate to bring up anecdotal stuff, but I'm speaking from my experiences, but I can see it being a general statement, based on what I've seen, based on what I've observed. So my opinion of it is, I think, again, those are underachievers. Because you got to be. You got all this. And again, they hit it from, Anton hit it from so many different angles that a lot of people don't drink anymore, so they don't have that liquid courage. So they stop, shooting they stick. You got the Me Too movement. So they stopped shooting, they shot. You got the of course you got the fluid sexuality thing. So a lot of these factors play into that, But I think a lot of people, my theory is this, and I'm gonna stick to it. I think they got so soft where they underachievers. So that particular, I think the stride to get a house like Casa Not, they got certain people that's gonna go for it, and certain people that's not, and they just want the minimal. They just want somewhere to lay their head. I think this, and like you said, an asocial, an asexual male with no testosterone. Testosterone make you do things, make you punch through a wall, make you with that low testosterone, you don't want to do nothing. So they don't have the drive to get that big house, the big car. They want Uber and chill. I work with these type of guys. I work, like, man, what you doing? So I think that is the thing, and it's becoming increasingly bigger. So that's what I'm sticking to. I think that's the thing. I think it goes hand in hand. Little ambition, little house.
I don't know. We'll wait and see, B. I think you took the train off the tracks on that one, but you know what I'm saying? We'll just wait and see what happens.
I mean, I understand where you're coming from. From a lack of effort standpoint, but I don't know. It's one of those things we have to see. Asocial. I mean, because you can be sociable on. You can be social.
I get what you're saying as far as what Corey's saying. Yeah, if you have a little bit of testosterone, a little bit of get up and go, yeah, you're gonna try to go for the big house. But that's not everybody. A lot of people. I've talked to some of these Gen Zs, and when I talk money, they act like I'm talking Greek. It's not all about money, dude. That's their attitude.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, does it have to do with money?
All right.
Yeah, it has to do with money. Yeah. So they live in a lot of first world problems.
But everybody's priority is different. You know what I'm saying? Their priority is not money.
Right.
So be it.
So, and you need money to pay for that big ass house.
Yeah. You also need money to pay for an apartment. You need money to pay for a small car. You need money to pay for a tiny house. You need money regardless of what you do. So, you know what I'm saying? But I don't see nobody, you know what I'm saying, with the ambition to sit up under a bridge and do nothing.
Well, nah, it's the fact that I could do things I want to do as just enough to survive. They have those people, and it's growing. You know, so they're not going. You know, we wanted the biggest chain, the biggest rims, the biggest. You know what I'm saying? The biggest butt girlfriend.
Why is that, B? Why is that? Why we want?
We wanted to outdo it. It was competitive. What I'm saying is, a lot of these new guys are not competitive. They don't give a damn about none of that.
You might be right. Well, so this is the longest one we didn't talk about. Since I think that's. I mean, I would say I would vote. That's early.
Right.
I would say that.
Right. I mean, the only reason I'm hitting it from that because that was interesting. That was an interesting topic.
It was for sure.
You know, so let's go into the next one. You know, let's go into the next. Another. This might be another reason. This is why I put this. That boys got that.
Your account, bro. They got websites that'll show you everything that you like. They can see the type of girl you like, and they'll create a profile based off of that. So when they reach out to you, you go and hit them back, bro. And then they like, hey, FaceTime me. And you like, cool, I'll FaceTime you. Then I know you real. And then you FaceTime them, they screenshot you, they'll take their picture off and put some child up there, some bullshit, bro. And then they'll hit you like, hey, if you don't want this to come out, you gotta pay me. Cold game. And you got to pay them, bro. With AI, bro, this look too real. You got to pay them. You can't have that shit on you, bro. And that shit happening all the time, dog. We did this thing with the rookies this year, bro, where they had like a bunch of screens and it was a different Instagram account on every screen. Each of the players had to go through the Instagram account and figure out which one was real, which one was fake, what's fake about it. And then every one of these accounts really got money from a player, bro. Every one of them was fake. Every one of them really extorted somebody. Like, that social media shit, bro, that's scary, dog. Some pretty girl send you a message, bro.
It's too much. It's entirely too much. That's crazy that they coming up with that shit.
I mean, you think they wouldn't? You think it was gonna stay at the level of I'm a Nigerian prince? Scams was gonna stay at that type of level?
I thought it was gonna be decent. They was gonna leave some folks alone, man. I thought they wasn't gonna pull no stuff like that.
Nah, scams are definitely evolving, and getting more high tech and getting more high pressure, and especially if a lot of this free stuff gonna be going away. So I think the increasing amount of scams go get there. And I just say again, I gotta relate it to personal note because I got a larger than life personality, but I think even my age, especially with it get targeted a lot. I get a lot of people sliding the DMs. You know what I'm saying? So I think it'd be that they're trying to get them bills paid.
Well, I mean, first off, if you get extorted in that fashion, then you're not really smart, right? Because in order to actually, well, in my standpoint, because regardless of if it AI, that's fine, as digital. Somebody actually has to come and sue you for this, and you're gonna have to furnish that person that supposedly is a AI person that you shouldn't be talking to. So at the end of the day, like, it's really no sense and falling into that, if you ask me, because you're gonna, at the end of the day, you're gonna have to furnish that person that I was supposedly talking to, and I got receipts from it not being that person. Depending on the type of questions you're asking before you get extorted. But I mean, that's just crazy.
I think for the most part, regardless if it's true or false, you still gonna get it. You still some way gonna be hurt because that what they say, the court of public opinion is a beast. So even if you do clear your name, nobody cares about the truth when the lie is more entertaining. As Charlamagne tha God would say, that lie is going to actually bruise your brand bad. And I don't really know what else, you can do about it. It's good to see the NFL is going through examples, trying to help the rookie see the possibilities, not that they're making money, but it's just a different world out here. You know what I'm saying? And they coming up with stuff that you can't even fathom.
Right. Yeah, man. Like I said, it's getting rough out here as far as it's a paper chase. You know, don't forget, you know, that people don't have the same talent as you, so that might be their talent is to leech. You know, some people don't want to get jobs. Some people don't want to do the right things. There is such thing as career criminals. You know, and just because they got a pretty face, that don't mean they can't try to get in the pockets. So, you know, it is what it is. Let me rock this next one. This one, I had to comb this one out, man, because I felt this. You know, I want to see if Corey, if you felt this. We all ex-athletes, right? You know, some are you know, higher degree than others, but you know what I mean? I probably know it's on the total pole, but shit, I still felt this because I could bear witness to this. It was it's someone on a different tip. I'll take it there once. Let's watch the clip.
Man, to my former athletes, can we talk about how it feels transitioning from being that top athlete to having to like step into the real world and get a job and shit? Like, bro, it feel like just yesterday I was dunking on motherfuckers. I'm hitting threes. Hey, I was stressing about how I'm gonna move these pallets. We ain't gonna talk about how your friends and your family treat you too. Like they look at you as the meal ticket, and now they treat you like a bad bitch that fell off. Yo, bro, the transition from being an athlete, bro, and into regular world, bro, it's crazy, bro. It's literally crazy. Yo, man, to my former athletes, can we talk about?
Yo, but yeah, I felt them on that. Not just on the athletic tip, but just when I first went to Gallery Furniture, I felt hella awkward. You know, I just for like the first year or so, just working for somebody else just felt real weird. You know, just because it's almost like that. You know, like you said, everybody cheered for you. Then you know, you not really you fell off, but you know, shit, I got a job, and everybody, you know, everybody tipping to change with you, and man, it's crazy, bro.
Well, you know? one thing my coaches always, you know, kind of instilled in me is, you know, you go to college, of course, to play sports if you're on an athletic scholarship, but you also get your degree. So you never want to be in a situation where you put all your eggs in one basket, right? And if somebody actually break down the stats to you, like how many people go from being the guy, the girl in high school to actually making it to the professionals, you know, any sane person is gonna take that into consideration when they go to college. So you don't just go to college. Of course, you're getting paid to play a sport, but you also, you know, you got to leave with something that you could fall back on in case it doesn't work, which, you know, it's 3% chance that it's gonna work. But yeah, that would suck though. If I didn't get, you know, if whomever didn't get a degree and they just stopped working, stop, you know, playing for whatever institution they were in, and then they, you know, got to get a warehouse job, you know, that would suck. But good coach is going to let you know that most likely you're not going to make it. If you do, you one of the chosen few.
Yeah, I think that's always been one of the psychological thing that nobody ever talked about. Like, you know what I'm saying, it was one of those situations where, you know what I'm saying, if you know type situation.
Right.
But it wasn't really never out there in the public eye. But I've had some guys, you know what I'm saying, mentally that just wasn't able to bounce back, that still never did bounce back from that. Because here it is, you know what I'm saying, you're on a different type of dopamine when you're playing in front of 15, 20,000 people. And now you show up into an office where, you know what I'm saying, nobody knows you. And, you know, you work a regular life. And I think, you know what I'm saying, this issue here is going to be more prevalent for the newer generation coming versus us that came up back then. Because even though it was a problem for us back then, You're thinking about the newer generation now. You know what I'm saying? When you have a sport that you're actually decent at, that you're actually good at, you're playing that 24/7 all year long. You have to think about, you know what I'm saying, basketball, for example, you have your regular high school, middle school season, then you're playing AAU all throughout the spring, summer, and then a little bit of fall. And then you're doing personal training throughout that time just to try to make sure that you get better. And now you go from that to now you have to go get a 9-to-5, which you haven't had to get a 9-to-5 all your life. And you're just not coming out of college. You know what I'm saying? Where you were the man, or, a few people knew you, or whatever the case may be. That is going to be a mental adjustment. It's going to be a humbling experience. And for us back then, we didn't have year round. You either finish basketball, you move on to a new sport, or there was nothing else for you to go to. We didn't have the training and everything that these kids have now to take up time and work out and all this other stuff. So you know what I'm saying? If we ran into those problems back then, imagine what they're going to run into a few years from now when they have to eat a piece of that humble pie.
Right. And then I just want to add this note to it before we get on this subject. I know we running through it. I know we're going to probably be over here in like 15 minutes. I'm going to cut it a little bit short today. But too much of the time we asked as men to like forget mental health, forget that. We supposed to suck everything up, but that is a torture to the mental, that we supposed to just suck it up and we get no support on that. So it's like the expectations, especially when you lived, eat, bled, a particular thing, and all of a sudden it changed. You have to cope with it, but it's also you got to cope with the outside coping with it.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So that's the longest thing. All right, people now like, hey, I was in their eyes here. Now it's like I'm touching, but like like you said, like a bad bitch that fell off, like a god and fell for the sky and shit. Now you mortal now.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, I got one more. I got one more take on it. I mean, of course, as an athlete, you get out of sport, you love the sport for sure. But at the end, even I guess personally, I was decent. I wasn't great, but in the back of my mind, I'm doing this for the money. You know what I mean? I'm putting my body on the line for the money ultimately. Because I'm trying to be better, do something else. And I don't think that just because you don't make it, that mentality shouldn't waver if you have to pivot. That's how I feel.
Well, see, I think you coming from is a little bit different in your situation. I think you was a student athlete. It was a long shot for you. You coming from D2 or it was D2, right?
It was NAI, so it's pretty much.
So that was a long shot for you to make it. As far as where I'm from, I was the hope of the family. Well, I mean, not for the athletes, but
talking about you went to NAI too.
Well, I'm not talking about as far as being an athlete. I'm talking about as far as I was like a local celebrity. With my business, I was, as far as the business aspect. Me going from business to working with somebody, that's how I could feel what he's saying as far as that, and I understand his, I'm going from shooting my own commercials and I'm clapping up celebrities and I got these celebrities and stuff like that to I'm clocking in. It's a humbling experience. I'm taking orders from somebody.
Yeah, that's correct. But look, I completely understand that. But let me just add another level to this that we haven't even discussed yet.
Right.
When you talk about being a student athlete now, these cats are getting NIL deals. Can you imagine being an athlete? You know what I'm saying? We didn't get paid at that time. We got scholarships. We got a little bit of Pell Grant money, maybe, you know what I'm saying, or whatever case may be. These guys are making $200,000, $300,000, $500,000 or whatever case may be a year. And what if they don't make it? Now you have to go get a job that's $50,000 or $60,000.
Right.
Like, that's completely different mentally. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was an adjustment for us, but just imagine, you know what I'm saying, you on this high dopamine of playing D1, D2 or whatever, you know what I'm saying, you getting this NIL money, And then now you go from making $500,000 or $1 million a year to now, you know what I'm saying, you working a regular job making $60,000, $70,000.
Well, it's the family, especially in our community. We like the rib and we like the high cap, we like to play the dozens, and it's almost like the disappointment in their face. You see, and I give you an example when I was at Gallery Furniture. I never shared this story. I ain't even gonna share this story. I'm not even gonna share this story.
Talk, Dixon.
No, I mean my uncle might be looking at it. You know what I'm saying? He might be on Facebook. So I'll tell a story. At Gallery Furniture, man, I see my uncle came in like he didn't know I worked that shit. I went here. I was embarrassed. I'm working a job.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, like I was trying to say, just because you got to start somewhere, and you got to start somewhere.
You do.
You don't understand, bro. It's different when you like.
But your mentality should still be, I'm finna get this money. No,
it's different. I get it. I get what you're saying, but it's not like that. It's an adjustment for a man because you put everything that you had into something.
It's a different feeling. I would agree with B, you know what I'm saying? It's a different feeling, you know what I'm saying, when you've been good at something and the family looks at you, almost put you up on a pedestal. And then now you've been humbled. And then you know what I'm saying, if your family loves you, your family loves you. But it's almost it's an emotional progression, right? You know what I'm saying? Right. Eventually, Dunbar, you do get to the point what you say, you know what I'm saying? I'm all about the money, man. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But it's the progression of the emotions where once you actually come off, and that's like the first job, it is a little bit of an embarrassment there, you know what I'm saying? Right. And then eventually you kind of work through it and you're actually able to get over to, man, look, I'm just about the money, man. It is what it is at this point. But, it's just the progression, the emotional progression of it. That's all.
I feel it.
Yeah, so it's different, bro. It's almost like, I don't know, it's nothing you should be ashamed of, but you kind of ashamed of yourself. I know you don't get it, you know what I'm saying?
Nah, I can't. Yeah, but it's all good. Different strokes.
Gotcha. Let me run a couple of more, then we can get up out of here, man. Let me run this couple of more. Oh shit, that's why it's on this one on YouTube. Here we go. That's why I couldn't find it.
Called a family skipping dynasty trust. You put all of your family members in this trust, and that's what I got, Urban Family Dynasty Trust. Anytime I give money out to anybody in my family, they get to pay the tax on the money at their bracket. When we pass out money as athletes, we give to our families all the time. But we're giving it to them at our tax bracket. It's in the trust. My mom's tax bracket is way different than mine.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna end up giving her the money to pay for the tax too. It's these things that causes a man to go. I learned this from O.J. Simpson. It's called a family dynasty trust. You put all of your family members in this trust.
Smart stuff.
I just wanted to bring awareness of that, and I wanted to hit it from this angle as well, man. Like, if again, it kind of ties to that because I was that person. I had family members making, take my business out the trunk of my car to $1 million plus a year. I was like, the first millionaire in the family. So when you kicking out that type of money, I wish I had this type of knowledge back then. So that's why I put it in there. So like I could have did a couple of different things, like I said, as far as the trust. And then another thing I wanted to bring awareness of, I like what Rick Ross said, is that, hey, he don't lend out money. He invests in businesses, or he'll buy a business. And like, all right, here you go. I did that with my baby mama, but hey, this the business. Don't ask me for no money. After I do this is all you. Whatever proceeds you get, that's you, but don't ask me for nothing else. So I like that approach as well. So we talk about with family members, but just kicking it out and giving, that's like the worst thing you could do, because once that money is dry up, then they coming back asking for more.
Mm-hmm. It's similar to the principle of, give a man a fish or teach a man a fish type situation. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You teach a man how to fish, he'll be able to kind of provide for themselves forever type thing. But I 100% get it. But the one thing, you know what I'm saying, that the video, you know what I'm saying, we probably didn't want to go this direction, was that Michael Irvin is one of those guys, you know what I'm saying, that doesn't have enough pride to ask somebody how to do something. And I think, you know what I'm saying, he talked to the right people. He said he learned from OJ. I don't know if he talked to OJ personally or, you know what I'm saying, if he just kind of saw and heard what OJ did or whatever the case may be. But you stop growing once you stop learning. And I think Michael Irvin has been always one of those guys that always was willing to listen and always willing to learn. And now he has his family set up. He's able to save a ton of money, and he's able to help his family out and do great things essentially the right way. And it's all because, you know what I'm saying, he didn't have enough ego to figure that I know everything. You know what I'm saying? I'm making all this money. Can't nobody tell me anything. He was still willing to learn. And now, you know what I'm saying, you get to see the way he set up his family, which I like the name he named the trust too, by the way.
Right. I got to get in on the trust, man. Let's go ahead. I forgot what this one is about, but I got it here for a reason. So this might be a show kick, a mic dropper. Let's see. You know, one of your favorite people.
Oh Lord.
Goddamn Corey Holcomb. So let's go ahead and run it.
Pulling up in big expensive cars, jewelry. Listen to me. Listen to your brother Corey. Them days are fading. Shining while in the streets is not the thing to do. Unless you got on some fake jewelry that you can get them right away when they ump them things. Because they ump them things on everybody who's shining. You don't think you will be followed. You don't think, because it's new to the world just how bad it's getting. Oh. Homie, them people who will get it how they will get it are watching you as you shine. So if you ain't got the henchmen with you, standing ready for what's gonna come, the days of shining, that's over. But when I'm out going to a pizza place, when I'm out going whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop, you best to have that, God damn it, if you out here shining, because you naked if you don't. Homie, America is out of business, homie. And I bring up the thing about shining because I don't want you to go out and finance some jewelry that's finna get you robbed. I don't want you riding around on a regular day with your Lambo you somehow was able to afford. Because, goddammit, if you black, how did you get a Lambo? If you out in your Lambo, you cannot be riding around on La Brea and Sunset, because the streets is watching you and your. Oh, yeah. They like, there go one.
The flexing is over.
we finna come up.
And it's just like you said, Corey, it is just going to get worse.
The point I'm trying to make, man, these people out here who will get it how they got to get it in any way ain't just the brothers. Everybody is out for whatever now. So them people not showing up at work, are you mad at them? I'm not mad at them. If you at work and you're not getting paid, what you doing here? Everybody who out here shining.
Gotcha. I don't know about the days of shining is over. I think shining got to be in the right crowd, in the right place. I think if you shining in the hood, that's like, you know, you pulling up with stakes around your neck in a village of starving people. I think how people get got is they floss on the wrong people, you know, and they don't know how to floss. The shining is not the flex that you think it is. I think we let me put it in better context. I think we need to mature with our flexing. You know, I think the days are over where, you know, you're doing it. The baby Cash Money 90, you know, the number one stunt. I think those days are kind of played now. I think there's a new type of flex that needs to take place. You know, and it's in certain crowds and in certain places where other people that's like that can't be. Not saying that you're infallible when you get out there, but you know it's less likely to occur. Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying, for flossing, you know what I'm saying, flossing ain't never going nowhere. I understand what Corey Holcomb saying, you know what I'm saying, but you watch all these videos now, you know what I'm saying, you got all these rappers and rappers, entertainers, actors, whatever the case may be, and you catch them in a club, they all flossing. They all got these big old chains on that's big. Lil Duval got these chains on that's bigger than him. But I think the thing that's changed a little bit is that, you know what I'm saying, they get somebody that can legally shoot somebody. So, you know what I'm saying, they have these bodyguards, they have people that's watching their back and doing all this other stuff. And I think that's what you have to do. Now, if you choose to floss and put yourself in harm's way like that, you need to have some sort of protection, which I think a lot of these cats do. But if you don't have a bodyguard, you know what I'm saying, and you out here flossing, that's when you read about cats on the news. Somebody who's gotten jacked that night, everything went awry, and then, you know what I'm saying, unfortunately, somebody had to end up losing their life. But I get the warning that Corey Holcomb is putting out there, but you know what I'm saying, I don't think flossing is ever going to go anywhere. Hell, you know what I'm saying, during a sporting event now, you know what I'm saying, they're flossing during the damn game. So, I mean, flossing is just in the bloodline, especially when you talk about African Americans. Flossing is just in it. I don't know when it's ever going to come out or ever going to stop. Just the way of the world.
Dumbo, you want to get in? I know you missed half of it, right?
No, I saw the whole thing. I mean, I like I said, me personally, I was never into. I mean, I've always wanted to definitely bodyguard or no bodyguard, have my back and pay attention and know my surroundings and know what I should and shouldn't do. Like, you don't go to Mexico, with no protection, it's just things you don't do, I guess. So, but yeah, people love doing it. And then these days, people that don't have these bodyguards, it's like Corey Holcomb was saying, I mean, it's people out there that's pretty much ready to die for what you got. So, you got to just take everything in consideration when you're doing anything, especially in a bigger city, especially in a scarcity, type of community or anything like that. You have to just know your surroundings. You just have a little bit more awareness. But yeah, I mean, people are gonna do it, and like I said, people will kill you for $5 these days. You don't even have to be flossing. You go somebody $7. You know what I mean? Look in the news next morning. So it's just all about awareness. But I mean, yeah, he's not lying on any facet. It's not going anywhere, and it's just one of those things to where if you have awareness, hopefully it won't happen, but maybe it will even in those situations that you're talking about. It might be a scammer in there, and it's to pick you apart. You know what I mean?
I know for sure they're gonna have the sugars out there looking for you know what I'm saying, looking for the next meal. So yeah.
Just like just to piggyback real quick off of what Dunbar said, $7, they killing each other for an argument out there.
Right.
Over no money, you know what I'm saying? Which is crazy. So you know what I'm saying, some people just don't care, man. You know what I'm saying? They have no control over their emotions, and especially in a down economy, you better be watching your back, because them folks is coming with them things, because they looking for any means to get that money.
Wow.
Let's make this next one the last one, because this is kind of controversial. We could go a couple of different ways with this. I want to see if y'all agree or disagree with him, and this will be the last one, and then we'll see y'all next week. Let's go ahead and run this one. I'll just see to make sure. Let's see if we can end it with an exclamation point. Let's see. This is controversial.
Even if you are, appearance is more powerful than reality. People respect what they see, not what is true. Project strength and wealth, and they will obey. Reveal a single weakness, and they will crush you. You don't need to be rich. You only need to appear that way. Society doesn't investigate. It assumes. They don't follow substance. They follow the illusion of it. Walk like a king, and they will treat you like one. Speak with certainty, and they will believe you hold the answers. Society does not reward sincerity, it rewards the image you craft. In the game of power, the mask you wear is your greatest weapon. Walk among them convinced of your worth, and none will dare question it. Never look poor, even if you are. Appearance is more powerful.
So I know that we that fake it till you make it. I know we take it to the next level. I get what he's saying, but I don't know, this is a good one. Is it what's the line? You know, between faking it and just becoming where you always fake. You know, I get appearance. I get, you know, don't dress like a bum, especially if you're in a professional environment. I get that, you know, I get that always, you know, project, you know, health and wealth. I get that, but I get what he's saying. I don't know. I'm on the fence about this. I'll open that up to y'all. See what y'all got to say on that.
Well, because I gotta run in a second, so I'm just gonna. So yeah, I mean, faking it till you make it only works so far. Of course, you don't want to show up to a masquerade party without a mask, right? So you're gonna dress how you think you need to dress for the environment you're in. But it comes down to a time where it don't matter if you got $10 shoes on or $1 million shoes on. If you don't know what you're talking about, you just don't know what you're talking about. So it's, you know, it works until you have to open your mouth. Now, if you don't have to open your mouth and do anything to you know, to actually solidify yourself in the environment, then maybe that'll work. But if you have to talk, and that, I mean, it don't matter what you got on. You know, if you're a fool, you're a fool. So I mean, that's how I feel about it. And I peace and love. Let me hop off of here next week sometime.
Yep, we about to hop off anyway in a second, but yeah, do we run it? Yeah, so yep, next week.
All right, peace and love.
All right now. Yeah, I think you're saying when faking it, there's a such thing as faking it goes wrong. Essentially, you know what I'm saying? When you talk about that, if you're acting like you know what you're talking about, you know what I'm saying, and you don't, and you're lying to a client, for example, you know what I'm saying, you're a real estate agent, you're out there, you have no idea exactly what you're talking about, and then you're consistently telling lies because you're trying to fake it until you actually understand what you're actually doing. That loses you credibility, that loses you business. So I think, you know what I'm saying, you know, looking the part, which actually, you know what I'm saying, is dressing the part, you know what I'm saying? So as a real estate agent, instead of you wearing jeans, you're actually wearing a suit, or you're wearing some slacks, or you're dressing professional, whatever the case may be. That's completely different than you actually acting as if you know what you're talking about, or simply doing things, you know what I'm saying, that you have no idea what you're doing, just because you're simply trying to fake it till you make it. So I think to some degree, you have to just to try to, you know what I'm saying, you know, kind of elevate your status. But I do think it's a such thing as taking it too far.
I think it's you know, it's layered, man. It's layered. That's a deep one to me. You definitely have to exude confidence, but again, I don't think you want to be. The questions that he poses that does society reward those people as opposed to the more accomplished people? You know, that's the question, because a lot of people
reward which people. Reward
the fugazi. They look like it. They look like the part, but how often do we find that? How often we see that person land that particular property or listing or whatever? Just because they look the part. They might not know what the hell they're talking about, you know, but they look like a certain like they got money or something like that.
Correct.
You know, so he do have a point. Society does not do research. They assume, you know. So is it? This is one of those philosophy questions. Is it? Do you really want? Hey, I'm keeping it real. Keeping it real. I think it's. Of course, you want to do both. You want to have the confidence and look the confidence, and have something to back it up. But society a lot of times don't do their due diligence. They go about how they like it, what they look, how they look, and how they feel about things.
That's correct. That's correct.
You know, so if you can make them feel a certain way, they might roll with it. It might get you in certain rooms.
Absolutely.
You know, because a lot of times just based on my appearance, I scare a lot of people. But somebody who have that much knowledge that I have, they'll get inside the room.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I feel I feel relaxed around you. It makes me feel a little bit more comfortable.
So this opens up to me. This opens up a topic that I'm saying we weren't necessarily planning on going, but I kind of sat and thought about the other day is that I'm saying it's a gift and a curse, right? Because I think for everybody in any given facet, business, personal, whatever it may be, I'm saying there's a certain perception of you're judging a person by the looks, and you're judging a person by the actions, and you're judging a person by what comes out of their mouth. And between those three things, I'm saying you're looking at this person, you're determining if you like this person, if you want to do business with this person, if you want to be friends with this person, if you want to hang out with this person. You're making all these certain judgments based upon these appearances. And that appearance that you see, because it's the beginning, you don't know this person, it could be a fugazi.
Right.
You don't necessarily know, but you're banking this opinion on what you see in the appearance that you've seen in this first 30 minutes, hour, whatever it is. And you're making a judgment on that. Sometimes it goes in our favor, sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
But can we really complain? Because we don't complain when it goes in our favor. Can we really complain when it doesn't go in our favor? Or it's just the game.
This is what it is. So my thing is this, I think I wrestled with this a while back. Do you go on principle? The principle, it shouldn't be like that, but it is like that.
Correct.
It shouldn't be. People should do their due diligence. They should hear people out. They should really get to know to see the real person. However, they don't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They don't. How does Kim Kardashian become the epitome of a businesswoman? What's her credentials? But she look a certain way. She make you feel a certain way by her personality or whatever, and it flew.
Yeah. I think at this point, you know what I'm saying, she's done enough. You know what I'm saying?
She's done enough now, but I'm talking about in the
beginning. In the beginning, right? In the beginning, you know what I'm saying, her clients was her kids. You know what I'm saying? Like how many managers threw themselves in there to have no idea what the hell they was doing, but I'm gonna be the manager of my kid because I know I'm gonna make sure I do the best thing that's right for them. And they had to sink or swim. You know what I'm saying? They had to figure it out along the way. But you know what I'm saying, it's easy to do that when you're talking about your family, when you're talking about your kids, you're talking about your relatives. I'm talking about like strangers. Like when you do that to strangers, you know what I'm saying, it's a completely different aspect.
Right, but originally Kim Kardashian only had a famous last name in the sex tape, and she got it to made herself to become one of the wealthiest women in America. How did she get in all those rooms? You know,
because her dad was Rob Kardashian.
Right. So my thing is that Americans, especially, don't look at credentials a lot. They look at.
I think they look at credentials, but I think credentials could get your family tree in the door just as well as you got in the door, right? Because those credentials actually get passed along depending on how far down the family tree you are. Because here's the thing, you know what I'm saying? You had the mom's name. I forget the mom, Kardashian mom name. You're telling me, you know what I'm saying, Rob, the actual lawyer that was on the OJ trial, he was married to her, and then he ended up passing away. Those same celebrity friends that he knew is the same celebrity friends that she was introduced to. So if something happens, you telling me that she can't walk in the door and tap in those same connections? And it's just like I was hanging with y'all with my husband.
Right, but I'm talking about as far as the daughter. It goes about just off a little bit of motion, a little bit of clout. Because think about it, if she already had the clout in motion, she would have done the actual sex. She wouldn't have released because both of them signed off on it. It wasn't no accidental leak. They signed off and they put it out on purpose, right?
Correct.
So they needed that to propel the emotion. Once the emotion got there, all that got her enough rooms to get to where she needed to go. You know, so is it you know, in America is not necessarily your work and what was behind the mask. It's what's on the mask that they look at, you know, for the most part. And it shouldn't be. They should see that, hey, take the mask off and let me look at the real you. You know, and you know, but they don't. They go by the mask, they rock with it. And a lot of people that could put on a good show get in the doors. So that's why I'm telling. Now, is it right? No.
Correct.
You know?
Correct. But I think a lot of that has to do with opportunity too. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing. They signed off on a sex tape, but they had to. It was gonna come out regardless. So either y'all gonna make some money off this thing or y'all not. You had to sign off on it. So now you got, even though that's not what you wanted to be known for, you got one of the highest selling sex tapes that's out there. You know what I'm saying? And now your brand is at the highest it's ever been. So now that you have a brand, because you know what I'm saying, people know the person, you mean to tell me you can't walk into a room and be like, look, man, we got this amount of people. My followers have jumped up from this sex tape. Now I have X amount of followers, and my idea is this.
I think that
I want to come out with this. You don't think somebody gonna listen to that?
Yeah, I think that they came out before Followers. That was like 2005-ish. They came out. That was about 20 years. Yeah, so that was before Followers and all that. So they just got they name in the mainstream, you know, and that was the motion. But my point is, all right, you got more qualified. What was the first thing she jumped off with after that? The reality show
that I know.
So my thing is, let's talk about the, you know, this real quick because I'm about to wrap it up. The reality show. So there's no other person that was more qualified to get a reality show or whatever, but it's that motion that got me.
But you're the hottest. You're the hottest right now. Why wouldn't we do a reality show with you?
Right. So that propelled her. Not saying she was qualified enough. Not saying she had the work ethic. Not saying she just that mask alone got her to where she could get that Keeping Up with Kardashians, and people got interested in her. You see what I'm saying? So that
was interested before that, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I haven't heard of her before. I didn't even know who Kim Kardashian was. You know what I mean? So before Ray J, I know who Ray J was, but you know. So
well, you know what I'm saying? A lot of her clout came from because she was quote unquote Paris Hilton's best friend. So you know what I'm saying? That's where, and then Paris Hilton was hot at the time. You know what I'm saying, right? So Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton had it, you know what I'm saying? And then Paris Hilton was all in the damn tabloids and stuff with her best friend, Kim Kardashian. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's what she, and then now you was always the buddy. Kind of the same way, you know what I'm saying, the young girl was with the I can't never forget. She had the black friend that did with Tristan Thompson, that cheated with Tristan Thompson or something like that. And then next thing you know, she blows up. She blows up from that instance with the whole Tristan Thompson thing. You know what I'm saying? Where he cheated or kissed her at a party or whatever case may be. So all I'm saying is it's about opportunity is all it is.
Right.
And if you are hot at the time, people are going to open their door to you and the opportunity is going to be there.
Gotcha. With that being said, man, we're going to see y'all next week. I'm going to cut a little short because I got to pop up at 4. You know what I mean? So actually 4:45. So I'm going to try to get about 5 hours in this thing real quick. With that being said, you know what I'm saying? I'll see y'all next week, man. Peace.